ArmTalk. I'm your host, Jody Williams. And you know what? I'm going to do something for the first time ever on ArmTalk. I'm going to host a series, okay? So I'll say it again. I'm going to host a series, okay? So this is going to be part 1 of 3 in the series, and it's going to be labeled The Challenge, okay? And what I mean by that is that I put out a post not too long ago about people challenging themselves, whether you're a top-level competitor and somebody below you is challenging you, or whether you're that guy who wants to challenge somebody above you. And but you know what though? That's enough about me talking about that. Let's go ahead and talk to the guy who's going to explain everything and how this thing is. Welcome to my guest to the show, Mr. David Till. David, how you doing?
Oh man, doing good. I'm so excited right now at the amount of like training and build up that there's been to this tournament and super match setup. It's been really cool. I'm excited to kind of see where it all goes, and I'm excited to be on this talk show.
Well, good. I'm glad you got a chance to take some time out of your busy day, because we all know it's Friday. So, you know, a lot of people, it's summertime now. So it's going to be barbecues. Just go home, bust a move, shower up, and go out with the buddies or with the family or whatnot. So I'm glad you're able to take some time out so we can go ahead and wrap this thing up. So tell me, Mr. David Till, I've seen your background. You look like a strong person, a very, very strong person. You and I have talked with, we've chatted in private about your numbers in the gym and stuff. But tell everybody out there watching, what exactly is your background, what do you do for a living, and how you got into arm wrestling?
All right. Well, I dabbled into powerlifting and strongman. I did North Idaho Strongest Man in 2019. Never did anything like it before. Went into the pro class and placed 4th. And that was really cool because there's a guy who won the whole thing, but he's the 80 or 85 kilogram world's strongest man. He was a couple places ahead of me. I would not say that I am a strongman or powerlifter, more that I'm just a hobby weightlifter. But it kind of, like in high school, I was always frustrated at how much stronger everyone was than me. And I wasn't going to let that, like I was just going to, once high school stopped and football was done, I did not stop.
Right.
So if everyone else stopped training and they all, you get busy and you go on with your life, I never stopped. There was like a time span where I partied a little too much and I weighed like 280 pounds, and then I did a cut. And in 1 year, I made it down to 170. And my frame doesn't handle 170 very well. Part of that, I was like homeless there for a little bit and didn't have my food.
Right.
But I ended up moving out to Oregon, actually to Burns. And I lived there for a year and worked at Les Schwab and lived with my family because I was not making it at Sandpoint. And that year was like a rebuilding year for sure, of 2 pounds of chicken a day and as much heavy weights as I could ever move.
Right.
And that's the only thing. Though I didn't have any goal in mind or any plan of doing anything like crazy with weightlifting other than beating whatever my max was all of the time. That's the only thing I ever thought of. Not competing against others on Instagram, because you can get lost into seeing how strong other people are, but just fighting myself. And I got fairly strong, moved back to Sandpoint, and then met the Miller brothers. And those guys are...
You talking about Todd Miller?
Yeah, Todd and Travis.
Yeah.
So they live in Sandpoint, where I live. And I met them, and one of the guys who was going to the gym said, like, dude, those guys would kill you in arm wrestling. And I was like, no way, I'm so strong. And well, they did. And whenever I'm in a strength situation and I'm very competitive, then I will do, and I stopped basically what I was doing. I still incorporate powerlifting and strongman into what I'm doing all the time, just for all around power. But I couldn't wrap my mind around how easily I was beat in arm wrestling. So then I really, really, really wanted to take that as far as I could.
Gotcha.
And then kind of how this all mixes in story-wise. I work at a tire shop. I manage a tire store in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And before I was just the normal tire changer guy, which shout out to tire changers. You guys are strong people. And I went on a service call, went to the top of a mountain in Sandpoint, and a semi-tire exploded with 110 PSI in it. And Now my hand was still inside of my skin, but it blew off my right hand. So from my hand down 3 or 4 inches on my forearm, my whole bone was like sand. It was powder.
Ouch.
And everyone said that, like the doctors and whatnot, all the dumb shit they said that I probably wouldn't use my right hand again and that my lifting career was done. And that immediately, I was like, okay, no, that's definitely not going to happen. And I still have nerve damage. I'm 10% disabled, technically, with my right hand. And it's definitely getting better. So I haven't told you any of this yet, Jody, but I tore my left pec in June, my tendon, not necessarily that bad.
Right.
And then I re-broke my right wrist at work. Oh gosh, Monday, Tuesday. And I have to get some x-rays done next week. But no matter what, I'm definitely pulling, and you will have the best version of myself coming in August. But what happened is when I got blown up, I couldn't deadlift, and I couldn't bench, and I couldn't do anything that made me feel, because lifting is so much of a therapy for me.
Right.
I couldn't do anything that made me me. But I had already dabbled a little bit in arm wrestling. And then I thought, well, I'll just get really, really good left-handed. And so I focused on my left because that's the only thing I could focus on for a while. I had to wear an external fixator, so it's stuff drilled inside of your bone.
Right.
For almost 6 months in my right arm. And then after that, the nerve damage was so bad that I have what's called CRPS, which is constant regional pain syndrome. And so I constantly have, it's getting better now, but like an absurd amount of pain in my hand that doesn't ever go away. And honestly, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because I learned a whole lot of patience in the time that I had to wear the fixator and the time like that I was hurt, trying to sleep, and just knowing that that's what I had to live with now. But the amount of time that I've invested into my left was a lot because I couldn't do anything else. And
right.
Fast forward, so blown up in the end of 2019, fast forward to 2022, I trap bar deadlifted 830 pounds. I bench pressed 420 pounds. That was like 3 months ago. I tore my pec trying to do 405 for 3, but it's just my tendon and it's not all the way through. I can kind of bench,
right.
but I won't be doing any bench up to August because I don't want to hurt it anymore.
No, you want to be as healthy as possible, So, what I was going to say is that for those of you, out there watching, I know Candy Password's watching. Good friend of mine. How you doing, Candy? Tell Paul I said what's up. The thing is, though, is that we had our tournament a couple weekends ago, the LOD Foundation tournament, and you got a hold of me. And you were like, hey, man, I trained with Doug Goodman. Doug Goodman's a good friend of mine. I've known him for years in the sport. And he actually came to my house. Him and his daughter came to my house one day, and we trained and stuff. And that was, some years back, but it'll be good to see Doug again. And tell the story how this whole thing came about with you and I getting ready for this match on August 20th.
Yeah. So, and I'll apologize. I kind of get off on a tangent every now and again.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, what happened was, God, dude, I got some stories. I drove to fucking Oklahoma for my first arm wrestling tournament ever. And on the way there, the car broke down and I ended up having to fly back to Idaho. And I left the car in Kansas and a dealership bought it for like $100.
Wow.
So like, that was my first tournament. And I went there, met Jim Coyle and some of the other guys down there. And it was like such a cool experience, but that was the only tournament I could find.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was so like dedicated to doing a tournament that I went there. Not that I didn't do well, but that was my first tournament, first set of ready goes. I mean, that was, it was exhilarating and it was cool because when I got there, Jordan still was hanging out outside by himself in the bar. And so I got to sit down with him and drink some beers and talk to him. Like everybody that I'd watched on YouTube, I saw there. And
so was this last year?
Yeah.
Oh, I was there. The throw out the Foxhound. Yeah, I was there. Was that the one in Tulsa?
Yep.
Yeah.
Broken Arrow.
Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah.
That's awesome. I pulled there, came back, I feel like I've done 3, but my mind's a little, the story was kind of chaotic today. I know I did Brushbury, and I know that you were there for that. Mm-hmm. I watched your match, but I think it was Ryan Frank, and that was a solid match to watch.
Oh, you're talking about Jeff Frank from Canada.
Ryan Frank, I think, at Brushbury. I'm not sure who he is, but
yes, it was
match there.
My match was against Jeff Frank out of Canada up in Washington State. Yeah.
Yep. So I went there, did that. You know, I did better right-handed in that tournament because I didn't care as much about my right. It's considered my party arm, as Devin Larratt would say.
Right.
And I was so focused on how I could win with my left that I ended up just losing because I was so focused on, I don't know, I way overthought everything. And when I just had fun with my right, I actually did way better. But that match, like that whole tournament, that was a great experience. Then I came back to Idaho, which now nothing happens in Idaho ever. I mean, there's Boise. Yeah, that happens every once in a while. That's like an okay tournament. But then I just, what happens is with practice groups, you guys train together so often.
Mm-hmm.
Like in football, if you have a scrimmage with each other all the time, you never know how good you are until you go somewhere else.
Exactly.
So I went to Snohomish and pulled with Jacob Ebbett's team.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I pulled for probably 2 hours straight. That's my one thing that I love the most is trying to build my endurance after our match in August, then I know that after that, I will probably arm wrestle for as long as there are people there. I love everything about arm wrestling and how long I can pull for. And so I went to Snohomish and pulled with Jacob Abbott. That was kick-ass. Came back, took the guys with me the second time. We went there again.
Right.
And pulled with a bunch of people. And I pulled Nick Mode.
Oh, yeah.
And super, super strong guy. Super strong hand. And then in the strap, that's where I felt some success with him. And then so I messaged him. And Nick, if you're listening, you're a great guy. And I said, hey, Nick, let's pull in August. Well, he told me no. And he said that he thinks that I should pull Josh Heck. And then I said, no, I don't know about Josh Heck. I don't know who that is. Pulled up YouTube. Then I see a video of you and Josh Heck.
Right.
And I was like, oh, my God, man. Like, that's a crazy match. Well, then I go to practice. And this is after Nick had already said he didn't want to pull me.
Right.
Then I pulled Doug. And Doug, you're listening? Fucking awesome. But I felt extremely dominant left-handed. But it was more than just one time for an adjustment. And then I didn't think that I was redlining, but I think that I was because of how much I hurt after that practice. And Doug texted me and said, hey, you dislocated my left shoulder. And,
you know what? He actually did tell me that because I was talking to him. He's, I did hear about that. So I was kind of like, okay, are you ever here like damaging people? So.
Well, I was, he was like, you know what? You should pull Jody Williams. And I think it was as a joke, but
right.
I took it seriously. And then I talked to him on the phone. He said, well, first you should pull the Miller brothers. Well, then sure shit. One of Travis Miller comes to the store, the tire shop, and we have a table here because I train. So I show up at the store at 7, and then I train almost 7:30, and then I'll train until 8. And then I'll try to arm wrestle in the middle of the day.
Right.
Then I usually arm wrestle after work and power lift. And then I go home and use the rice bag and to just blood flow and to build my hand more.
Right.
So I train about 4 times a day. And so Travis shows up and I'm like, hey, I need to pull you lefty. And Travis, if you're listening, also great guy. I didn't feel like I had to try very much. And then I was like, okay, well, now Doug was joking-ish about Jody. Told me I should pull the Miller brothers. And I just pulled Travis. And it was convincing. Like I should not super match the Miller brothers left-handed. No, I didn't pull Todd.
Right.
Todd's left is better than his right, but I pulled Travis. And the gap was there. So, and Travis wasn't in pulling form or whatnot, but that's what Doug said. And so I did what Doug said. And I was like, okay, I really, really want to do something in North Idaho. And what a better way than to message Jody after what Doug said and then just see. And then no shame on you, but when I saw that Robbie took the match against you, I was like, okay, well, maybe he'll take a match against me because I'm below Jody.
And you know what? Here's the thing. And before we continue with the story, and I want to tell everybody out there watching. So, and like I said before, I put a post out there, and it was about challenging people. And I know we live in this society now where social media kind of takes over. There are some people out there in this sport. We all know who they are. where, you know, they don't want to show you if they lost or not. They don't want it because they don't want people to think, you know, oh, I'm not that good, this guy, that, and the other. But I posted my wins. I posted my losses. It is what it is. If you're worried about, you know, not losing, then you're in the wrong sport. That's just the way it is. I've always said that, you know, if you're in the sport long enough, you will take a loss. That's just the way. That's just the math problem, right? And I've taken my share of ass kickings over the years. I've been doing this for 12 years now. But, you know, you always want to know, like with Robbie Topi and myself. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, David. I'm gonna tell everybody watching. Everybody's in there. Candy's in the house. Tiffany, the Macho Man, and I'm gonna tell everybody this. Okay, Robbie Topi could have told me no. He could have gracefully said, "You know what, Jody? I respect what you do. I respect your family. I respect what you guys do for your foundation and your tournament. But I don't think you're on my level yet." He could have easily told me that, and I would have been like, "You know what? Hey, I gave him all he could do was say yes or no." But he did say yes because I did want to prove myself and test myself to see where I do stand. Well, I got my answer very shortly that I don't belong in the super heavyweights. Let's get that straight. But now, fast forward, David, you and myself. So I guess now I'll be the Robbie Topi in this equation, right? And you want to challenge yourself. I'm okay with that. Now, I've gotten some backlash about that until I made my post, and then people understood what I was talking about. So, you know, last year you pulled what, the amateur class? Yes.
Sorry, you kind of cut out there a little bit. I pulled what?
Sorry, I said so. Last year you pulled the amateur class, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, you know, a few people got at me. I'm not going to mention their names, but they kind of got a hold of me and said, "Hey, who's this David Till guy?" So, it's a guy in North Idaho. He's going to pull a tournament August 20th. He challenged me to a match, and I accepted it. And they're like going, "Well, what's he all about?" I'm like, "Oh, well, he's pretty super new." And they were like going, "Why are you doing that? You have nothing to prove to this guy." I said, "Look, as far as super match or challenge match, whatever you guys want to call it out there, all it takes is for the guy that's higher ranked or the guy that's a lot better than the other person to say yes. Then you have a match, unless you guys are just straight across the board, even Steven. But all it takes is that higher guy to say yes for it to happen, you know, because if we all said no, then we all be chasing each other, right? So, you know, you could ask me, "Hey, how about a match?" I could have said no because I'm chasing people like Robbie Topi. In return, Topi could have told me, "No, Jody, I love you, man, but I'm chasing somebody else." You see what I'm saying? Like, if we'd be all in the same boat if we didn't do that. So I embrace the fact that we're doing that. Also, I embrace the fact that what I'm about to witness here, and we'll get into this, you know, in a little bit, where you got 3 guys from Idaho. That would be you, your brother Brennan, and then you got Jason, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then they're taking on 3 guys from Oregon. So now you got Oregon guys versus Idaho guys. You know, the Pacific Northwest is going to put everything on its ear. It's exciting, and I can't wait to do it. So go ahead and take it from there. You know, what to expect and all that.
You know, what's weird right now is that so I've been having a hard time when I commit myself to, so I call it like myself rising to an occasion. Mm-hmm. So my best gym lift was, now this is trap bar deadlift. Anyone out there powerlifts, trap bar means nothing, but I did 735. And I was at the store, and I don't remember necessarily what it was, but I was feeling unusually ramped up that day.
Right.
And I pulled 800. And so 65 pounds or so more than what I had previously pulled in the gym.
Right.
I pulled because I've been deadlifting enough to where the gyms in Sandpoint won't let me work out there. So now I have to have a home gym
Gotcha.
at the tire shop. And that's what I have. But I pulled 800. And when I commit myself to something, and then I have to force myself to rise an occasion, and especially when there's a lot of eyes on whatever we have going on, mm-hmm. then it seems to bring something out that is better than what I have found in myself in training. So when I pulled amateurs, I was really an amateur. But the times from the amateur tournament to now, the things that have changed is really not much other than now I know how to arm wrestle more, and I'm probably 25 or 30% stronger. And I don't know how to do a percentage to say how much stronger or not, but from pulling with the guys in Rathdrum and pulling Doug is like my knowledge of where I'm at and my strength. And after that, I was like, okay, and going to Snohomish too, and pulling some of the guys there who are pros, who pull in the pro class, and feeling confident in positions to where I would never get to in a super match. I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not gonna go amateur. If I do another tournament, I'm gonna go pro, because I pulled pros and I felt, and that's practice, it's different.
Right.
But if I feel so good pulling pros at practice, then why would I do another amateur event? And so I feel like with this match coming up, if either way that the W goes, I know for like a fact that it'll be a decent match, and that I'm not going to feel like nothing. I'll feel strong,
right?
No matter what way a W goes. That will just cancel me out from ever doing an amateur tournament again.
And don't forget the tournament too. Now, I mean, and guys and girls over here in the chat, it's 3 super matches. It's 3 Oregon guys versus 3 Idaho guys, but there's also a tournament too. If you want to touch base on the tournament right quick, go ahead and do so, David.
Yeah, so right after so we're gonna start off. It sounds like this is kind of my plan. You can always give me advice of what you think, but I'm thinking about starting with kids and the ladies tournament, because there's going to be kids and ladies only.
Yeah.
And then so I'm thinking about getting them and kicking us off, and then that'll be like a warm up. That sounds bad. A warm up for what's going to unfold, and then after the 3 super matches, then there'll be a full tournament afterwards. And Robert Bear, he pulled here at the shop with us.
I remember.
We could change the weight classes.
I pulled him at Unified Nationals in 2017. I remember.
Yeah, I know. I saw the video of you guys pulling, and then realized that he lived here close to me. So I texted him and told him to come pull me.
Man. So, David, we do have a question. So, Macho Man, that'll be Aaron Yersley. He says, hey, how much of your gym strength crosses over to your arm wrestling strength? Good question, by the way.
I would say probably absolutely 0 besides back pressure because of my deadlift. But the constant state of powerlifting and getting into a mindset of complete insanity, when I can do that at the flip of a switch, will help me in arm wrestling. Because you have to be somewhat insane to give an attempt of a weight that will either break your spine or it will redislocate or destroy my right hand, to be able to get into a mindset to where you just don't care and that you're going to go all out. I can tap into that fairly quickly. So powerlifting for me is more of a hobby. I would say bench press helps. Yes. Deadlift. Yeah, that helps a lot. But 90% of my training is all arm wrestling training specifically. And then I do have a strongman yoke where I do strongman yoke runs, and that's mostly for cardio while exerting a lot of strength. Because I think in arm wrestling, when you have a tough match, you have to be able to, there's 2 types of cardio. There's cardiovascular, like running, and then there's cardio strength, as in a heavy load and breathing while under a heavy load. So I have to learn how to breathe and maintain some sort of cardio while under a stress of arm wrestling. So that's what I use powerlifting for, is aggression, fast muscle twitch, because I pull and bench really, really fast. Right. As fast as I can, at least. And it just helps me get, if I can condition myself to be in the mindset of insanity for that lift, and I can do it in arm wrestling, I'm a way better arm wrestler.
And here's the awesome thing about this sport of arm wrestling, because I know so many people, I've made so many friends out there, and there's different approaches to the sport. If we all did the same thing, then 2 things would happen. 1, we'd be a bunch of walking androids, and 2 is whoever's the biggest will always win. So it's always good that, people have different approaches. Some people, will focus on gym time, maybe not so much table time, come to the tournament, blast everybody. Some people are all table time, and they're just smart and savvy on the table, but then they don't have as much power to back it up. Some people are all about the weights. Some people are all about the bands. Some people think, hey, I'm just going to focus on arm wrestling specific training. So there's all kind of stuff out there, and there's no one way to learn to get stronger at this sport. Some people rather learn how to catch people on the hit. Some people rather just hit fast on the go. So it's really awesome that we all can sit there and do stuff like that, you know.
And for me, my training regime is on a good day around 4 times a day, at least 2, minimum of 2 times a day, and I call it never fresh. So whenever I arm wrestle at anything, but pre-tournament, pre-super match, pre-driving 9 hours to a big practice, I am absolutely never fresh. That way, when it comes up time for a tournament or super match, I actually don't know how strong I am because I don't want to know. If I believe in my head that I'm not strong enough, then I'm immediately defeated.
Right.
But if I train twice a day, 3 times a day, whatnot, depending on, and all that training is not necessarily all arm wrestling specific, but I just know that my body and myself, I'm getting stronger. And then I take a week off before the super match. I actually don't know how strong I am when I get there. And I find that out as we pull. And then I find I want to be consistently never fresh. But besides not getting injured, I try not to get injured, but
right.
I never want to be fresh until it's time to recover for a tournament. And then I started doing that after Brush Prairie because I felt like I took too much time off for Brush Prairie. And then when I went to Snohomish, I was completely destroyed until I took a week off for Snohomish, and I felt like the difference was pulling pros and amateurs.
And once again, everybody, we're here with David Till. He's going to spearhead this tournament, you know, and it's going to be Athol, Idaho, correct?
Yeah. You got to make sure you get the TH in there. People think you're cussing at them.
Athol, THOL, Athol. That'll take place August 20th again, and it's funny because you know one of the guys involved in this challenge match is Aaron Yearsley, and he's been hitting the gym pretty damn hard, you know, and I know you know he's asked a lot of questions, you know, but you have the strength training background, you have the powerlifting background, and you know you're doing yokes and all that kind of stuff, and it's interesting to see how that's going to manifest itself. But also, you learn by trial and error. What I mean by that is that, okay, I feel like I'm going to take, 2 weeks off before a tournament. And then you feel like, in me, because I'm 46 years old, so I really can't, I'm like an old Oldsmobile where like I got to warm up first and before I really, get in my groove. Well, hell, by that time, I might be on the B side anyway at a tournament, or I might be down 2-0 in the best of 5 or something like that. So, sometimes you got to learn, maybe I'll take a week off, or maybe I'll train up until that Wednesday of the tournament. So that's just something I've played with over the years of being in this sport for 12 years. I've done all kind of stuff. When I first got into the sport, I was a light heavyweight, which means I was a 198-pound puller. And now I'm 235. A lot has to do it because I like food. That's just the way it is. And I'm getting older now, so my metabolism is super duper slow. But nonetheless, though, I've done a lot of stuff, pulled a lot of places. I'm excited for this. And I want to really, really say thank you for reaching out to me. Actually, it's me thanking you to give me the opportunity, So I'm thinking, wow, I've never been to North. I've been to Boise on 2 occasions for a tournament, but never Northern Idaho. So, and I didn't realize how long, I guess, the state is, like how tall it is, just in north south. It's pretty long. I'm excited to go there. I can't wait to be there. I can't wait to go hang out there, and hopefully we all can put on a good show and stuff at the tournament. You know what I mean?
My goal for this whole thing is to try to make this a yearly event. That way, people in the Pacific Northwest have something else to look forward to.
Yes. And
something to train for that's consistent. I think the LOD Foundation tournament is awesome. That's fucking great. And there's just something like, I guess I'm just selfish. I just want something closer to home. That way I don't have to, because I felt like I've done a lot of traveling. Well, 1, on my own dime, and 2, just to try to go test myself. So if there's a moment that's thinking come into fruition that's going to be closer to me, I would jump on that every given moment. And if it's big enough and the venue wants to do this every single year all the time, and he hopes to have in the area of 300 to 600 spectators, we don't really know yet.
Okay.
But if there was that many, I mean, it would just, I mean, if we could do this every year, then that would be phenomenal. And if anybody out there is listening and wants to come to the tournament, please do hit me up, let me know, and we'll get it all squared away. I mean, I got people messaging me and asking about also being on the Supermatch card. I think we're pretty
Yes.
set in stone on plans right now. I've talked to a couple people on the phone. I'm waiting on 4 other phone numbers to call people to tell them, hey, we're kind of already set with super matches. You can definitely sign up for the tournament. I mean, we can try to add more super matches, but I'm just trying to think about time friendly for viewers.
And I believe that there's flyers out there, folks, and I will go ahead and post it once again when this interview is done. But it kicks off at noon, August 20th. Now, I will say this though, I'm glad you want to make this a yearly thing, because for some strange reason, when I first got into the sport in 2011, we always had tournaments in the Northwest, and then after a while, it kind of died out, and it was like people who lived in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, we had to travel to go to tournaments because they were few and far between. And now I'm thinking we're picking up steam now. So you got the event my wife and I put on in June down there in Myrtle Creek, Oregon, in Southern Oregon. You got the Joe Woody Invitational he puts on there. Of course, you got Washington State Championships in December. You're going to have your event, in August. I do believe is it Blackfoot or Pocatello? I can't remember. The Idaho State Championship. It's in Eastern Idaho, but you got that too. And I think the more we talk about that, the more we can start having events up here where it's like it'd be nice. What I like to see is that we get some kind of triad cup or something like that, where you involve Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and you just meet at a tournament and go, okay, it's a cup. Who's going to take the cup home this year? Will it be Idaho? Will it be Washington? Will it be Oregon? I've always envisioned something like that, but it never came. I'm like, okay, we'll have to figure something out down the road. But I know that we got the potential because now we have a lot more pullers now than we did 5 years ago. So I want to thank all the newcomers, by the way, to the sport, because 5 years ago it was kind of like ho hum. Now you got a whole plethora of pullers all over the place. And by the way, David, I must add that with the posts we've been putting up there, there's some Oregon guys going, hey, maybe we should go to this tournament. And I'm on there saying, yeah, you should go to the tournament. So I'm excited for this thing.
Well, what I'd love is the nice thing about Idaho, even though it is further for some people, it's kind of a middle ground for Washington and Oregon, Montana, and also Canada included.
Yeah.
If you're listening, I just sent a message to Joe Fox and said, hey, come on down and pull in the tournament. So,
there's another guy right there. He'll bring some people too. So right there, Joe Fox, maybe Jeff Frank, get a hold of those guys. Say, hey, bring your Canadian crew down here. I think Chuck Young's in Montana. He can bring his ass over here and bring some Montana guys. And I'm telling you right now, then you got something big. If you do it every year, you know what I mean?
Dude, I'll provide maple syrup as the fucking championship thing if we have to.
I'm telling you right now. And I'm glad because I want to help, get this thing running, because I've ran tournaments before, I've ref tournaments before, and I know the heartache. And what I mean by that, I know the stress level. I know how it is. I know the anxiety takes over. And trust me when I say that, when I was getting ready for my event, and you had actually talked to me about our match prior to my event, and I wasn't trying to blow you off. I was just saying, let me focus on my tournament first, and then when it's all said and done, I'll get back at you, because there was so much going on. When you try to put an event on, you got to make sure, okay, do I have, bracketeers? Need somebody to do the brackets. Do I have enough refs? Do I have enough tables and all that kind of stuff? And you got to make sure, okay, do we have enough T-shirts? Registrations. Hey, we got Friday night weigh-ins. Okay, cool. Now we got the day of weigh-ins. And there was so much that my wife and I had to put together that, hey, we had a raffle. We had to make sure, okay, we had, the food and the snacks and the, soft drinks, all that kind of stuff. So, man, and then not the venue. That's all. Oh, hey, what should we do? Do not hesitate to get a hold of me, because I've been there, my friend. I've been there.
Dude, yeah, it's stressful, that's for sure, because I'm trying to manage a tire shop and plan my wedding in October, and also get this arm wrestling event set up, and also find a place to live. There's a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely ask you whenever I have a question. That's for sure.
Well, congratulations on the wedding. We have another question, and this is to me, but feel free to chime in on it too. So Tiffany, she says, Jody, how long were you at the amateur level before you pulled pro? Here's the thing: there's no significant, time to do it because everybody, some people get it, some people are just gifted, and they jump right in there, kick some ass, and it's all good. As for me, to answer your question, Tiffany, I was 6 months in, and then I was done with amateur. So I pulled my first event December 2010, right? But it was more of a, hey, let's have fun. The job I had at the time, my coworker, his father-in-law was doing an arm wrestling thing at the Harley Davidson dealership. He said, come on down. We're doing a toy for tots. Let's arm wrestle. This is before I knew anything about arm wrestling, how real it was. And so the first person I actually looked up online, YouTube-wise, was Alan Fisher. So he told me Alan Fisher was the man. Looked him up. Damn, he's pretty dominant. So, David, check this out. You guys got arm wrestling tables, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Check this out. So, not knowing what I was getting myself into, nobody had an arm wrestling table. So, you know what we did? You know those tall dressers that you put your stuff in, like socks and T-shirts, that kind of stuff? Yeah. We use a drawer dresser. And we use the top of it as an arm wrestle. I mean, there was like no peg or anything. And we use that to train for it. As weird as that may sound. So it was kind of like, all right, cool. Long story short, went to the event, had fun, won my weight class. It was only 2 classes. It was 198 and under and 199 and over. So I pulled the 198, won my class. It was cool. Got a ribbon. I thought I was, hey, that's pretty cool. The guy that actually got me into arm wrestling, Darren Wartina, was there before I met the guy. And he was saying, hey, you're pretty strong. If you want to get into it, let me know. Got into it. Long story short, I hooked up with him. And we formed this team called Twisted Wrist with Nano Cruz and, Ryan Lance. And, we're like the co-founders of this group. Now, Tiffany, just to answer your question, my first sanctioned event was March 2011. Oregon State Championships, Klamath Falls, Oregon. I took 3rd place in the amateur division, left-handed. And I would go to more tournaments. And by the time I was always taking 1st and 2nd amateur, I wanted to challenge myself. So check this out. July 11th, 2011, I went to a tournament in Portland, Oregon at Gators Bar and Grill, put on by George Weaver. That was the day I told myself I'm going to leave the amateur division after this event. So I took 1st place left and right amateur, and I took open right hand, never looked back. So again, everyone's a little different though. So yeah, I was 6 months into the sport before I said, you know what, I'm done. Let's go ahead and do some open events.
What's funny is Tiffany's like 15 feet away from me. Probably she's the receptionist here at the tire store.
Oh,
she's already watched all of your YouTube videos, and I'm pretty sure she's one of the biggest fans of arm wrestling in the past 2 days that there ever is.
Oh, okay. Well, Tiffany, thanks for joining the show, and I hope that answered your question. It's just everybody's on a different wave wire, Like I said, some people get like that. Others, it'll take a little bit of time. Here I am. I mean, I got into the sport late, because I did all the semi-pro football and rugby when I was young. And then, once my body said no more, then it was time for me to do something else. Fell into arm wrestling. I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty cool, So, hey, I did it, and I've been kicking ass here and there. I still got some goals I want to reach. And I feel like I'm not done until I reach that goal, which is to become a world champion and a national champion. And I feel like I can do that in the Masters Division 40 and over. So, Brendan says, hey, Jody, let's go right hand for fun. Right now, my right hand is not doing good. Thank you, John Laverne. Because I had an impromptu super match at my event against John Laverne right-handed. Didn't have any kind of recollection to pull that. I didn't want to pull it all. I was just going to pull Robbie Topi, ref the event. And Robbie said, hey. I was like, okay. He goes, hey, how about pull him in the super match? Well, okay. Again, being a guy trying to get this tournament together, I had to make sure I got all the medals was theirs. we had plaques for the super match winners. And I told Rob, it's like, dude, I don't even have a plaque for us. He goes, who cares? Just pull him right-handed. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So, hey, do not judge a book by its cover. Man's 61, has a hand and wrist of granite, by the way. And I'm like, okay, by the time I got done, I'm still having issues with it. And we're about 2 weeks since the tournament. So, Brennan, yeah, my right hand, you probably beat me right now because it's not healthy. So, but August 20th you still got time. So maybe just for the heck of it, I might, see what goes on. But yeah, that's how that went. So,
what's funny is I told Brennan, I was like, hey man, you should put Aaron because it looks like a really hard match. And I will say right now that there was times that I could win over Brennan right-handed. There's still some-ish time because my right's no joke though, even though it's been through its trials and tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
Brennan's right in the current state. I don't know if I felt. Like Jacob Abbott was dominating me right-handed like nothing.
Well,
there's one guy in Raptor who dominated me right-handed like that.
First of all, David, you got to understand.
Dominated me.
You got to understand, Jacob Abbott dominates everybody. Let's get that straight, okay?
I'm saying, there's been 3 people who really dominate me right-handed,
right?
Like dominate though, and Brennan is now one of them. So I'm super excited to see what happens in August because I know Brennan's training really hard, and I know Aaron is too. So I'm just gonna sit back and then trust that there's my blood running in him too, and I'm just excited to watch it all just unfold.
Can I give you some advice?
Yeah, dude.
I would probably run the super matches first, just to kind of get everybody psyched up, and then we do the kids next because they're like, they want to just run everywhere. So we'll get the kids done first, then we'll get the ladies going, and then we can start with the amateurs or whatever. But we usually kick things off with the super matches because that right there is going to be intensity. It's going to get everybody pumped up and ready. And if we could do something like that, that'd be kind of cool. So like I said, I've done this before. I pretty much know how this thing goes. So yeah, if you would do the super matches first, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, dude. I'm down for literally any advice that there is possible to give on this whole thing because it started off as a really cool idea. Then I talked to the venue, and then they were so in it. They were like, yeah, whatever it takes. I'm like, okay. And then now we're here. So
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited to listen to everyone's interview except for Brennan and Jason's. I'm just kind of excited. 100%. The problem is I have to keep myself from being too excited, and then I'm excited for a week straight, and then I realize it's still almost 2 months out. So
right,
I'm kind of getting to that right now where let's just do the super matches tomorrow. But
I totally understand where you're coming from. When you put something like this together, you're so excited. You wish it was in 2 weeks rather than 2 months. But and I get that standpoint. I'm looking at this. In 2 weeks, the next show, part 2 of this series of the challenge, I'm going to have Brendan, I'm going to have Aaron Yearsley on and, get these guys, opinions and stuff. And then 2 weeks later, we'll have Jason and Nick Maurer on. So that way, every 2 weeks, you got a new video up. We're still pumping this thing out. All 6 guys are still, are basically shutting off the world and training their ass off, honestly, because I know you're trained. I've seen the videos. You ever hear bench pressing, houses and stuff and, deadlifts and tractors and all that kind of stuff. And I know Aaron's doing this thing. Jason and Brandon, they're kicking ass. Maurer's doing this thing in the Valley. So I know we're all putting the work in. And I think because it's so far out, that's not so much a bad thing because then it's like, okay, I got to make sure it's just working because in between now and then, we all have because even though Nick and Aaron, we all and myself, we all live in Oregon, we're 3 separate teams. I don't know if you knew that or not. We're not on the same team. So when we go there, and by the way, everybody from Idaho watching, we are not all lumberjacks from Oregon, just so we're clear. Oregon's not full of lumberjacks, but because technically Aaron is from Vancouver, Washington, but he trains with the team in Portland, which is right across the river. So technically he can be an Oregon guy, but He has his team there. Nick Maurer has his team in the Valley. I got my team in Central Oregon. So we're not training partners, but we all go together for a common cause to go over there, make sure that the whole event goes great, make sure we have a hell of a match, and then we'll say, you know what? Let's go ahead and put our name in a hat for the tournament. And by the way, I'm a certified ref, so if you need somebody to help ref, let me know.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I'm going to need you help refing. And there's a reason, not necessarily, I mean, kind of, the three of you not being all training partners helps the tournament with people from the team who want to come and also pull. So there's a little bit of design in the super matches as to if I called everyone out from one team, why would any other team go? If it's three people from three different teams, there's going to be more people pulling in the tournament.
Oh, so there was okay. There was a method to the madness. I like that. I didn't think about that, but when you had told me, I'm thinking, oh damn, man, we're like three. I guess we could be Team Oregon when we go over there, but when we're here, like right now, like Aaron's at work right now. Maurer's probably doing whatever he's doing right now, but we live in separate parts of the state. So yeah, I see why you did that. I was pretty clever though. I like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to see the biggest turnout we could see in a tournament like the one in Oklahoma. That was huge. And if we were half of what that tournament was, because most of it, I mean, there was a lot of people there, but they were all arm wrestlers. And I want to enhance a spectator event in Athol. That way, 90% of the people who were there are there to watch and spend money on drinks and to make the venue happy and to come and blow the sport out of proportion to where that they want to come every year. And I mean, 200 arm wrestlers, great. But I want the locals to all come.
Yeah.
That way, it's easier to keep doing this. Then everyone, the bar is making money. Everyone's happy except for the police and parking.
I know that sometimes, there's a lot of people out there who wants, our sport to be like, hey, we want to get away from the bars and like into more like convention centers and things like that. There's a place for everything. I get what they're saying with that, but at the same time, I look like if you have it in a bar, let's just say, when we did the one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that venue, I'm sure that particular weekend, they were like, man, we're making hand over fist money wise, because when you have an event there, then all of a sudden their revenue skyrockets, So
yeah,
I do get that. Now, if it's like a more important tournament, like a national, then yeah, or a higher scale, then yeah, you want that at a different, like a convention center or some sort. That I do agree with, if you want to take it, because it's supposed to mean more. So I get all that, but yeah, I mean, I like that. I think, like I said, some Washington guys I think are going to start showing up. Some of the guys here in Oregon want to go up there, which is good, And like I said, I mean, for me, I'll be as fresh as possible. I know that the month prior to that, July 30th, I'll be in Myrtle Creek, Oregon, by the way, for anybody watching and wants to come down to Southern Oregon. Joe Woody Invitational, that takes place at, like I said, July 30th, Myrtle Creek, Oregon. All proceeds go to the suicide prevention program. So there's a 99% chance I will not pull that event, but I will ref the event because I want to make sure I am ready to roll in Idaho. I pulled that event so many times, I can either pull it or I can not, but I'm always going to go to it. But knowing that I haven't been to, Athol, Idaho, knowing that this event is, could be potentially huge, I want to be, a part of it, and I'm glad I am. But I also want to, bring the best version of myself. And I don't want to go to a tournament and get, hurt or injured. Then I can't bring my best to you because then I'd be a disrespect to you. So I'm on record on the show saying, yes, you'll see me in Myrtle Creek, but there's a good chance I will just referee. If I do pull, it will be right-handed. That's it.
Awesome.
I'm saving my left hand for you and you only. So, there you go. That's how it's going to go down. So, like I said, I want to, present the best myself. I know you're training hard. You want to present the best of yourself to me. So, yeah, we're going to make this thing happen. And I'm excited, my friend.
There will be, without a doubt, that I'll be the strongest that I've ever been when we do face, and I'd only want the same. That way, no matter where the tides go, there's no. Well, I didn't feel very good today.
You know what?
I'd love to. I just want. I mean, the whole experience, and yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I'm excited.
You know, there's so many people out there in our sport that like if I lose, I'm okay with it. I know I might get, people might get a hold of me. Oh man, you lost to an amateur. What's wrong with you, man? You must be weak and stuff. And some people thought that you were trying to get a hold of me, to get some clout for you in Instagram and YouTube. And I'm thinking, I think this guy's genuine. I'm going for a common cause for two reasons. One, to go in there and throw down with you, but also, he asked me to, hopefully I can help out, bring more people here. So that's what I'm going to do. I think this is going to be an awesome event. Like I said, I want to be a part of it. There's a difference, So, yeah, I mean, if I go down there and just get my ass kicked, then I got some shit that I got to fucking work on. But yeah, I mean, I'll be ready to roll. And like I said, I'm not going to pull the tournament before ours because I want to give you the best version of my left anyway, and just see where it goes.
What's funny is if anyone talks about clout, like I have a YouTube channel that I don't post on. I only have it to watch videos and to subscribe to places,
right?
Which I might start posting to just because it'd be fun to do, and there's no like if I did now let's in a different world. Let's say I won and someone said, "Oh, you lost to an amateur," then I would immediately message them and say, "Let's do a super match then, and then we'll see," because that from how hard I trained for something, I'd be like, "All right, yeah, you next." I mean, okay,
yeah.
Like kind of what I've come from.
Oh, I totally get that. And like I said, man, and don't forget everybody, I got tons of videos on there. And, I'm at a point in my life where, when this is all said and done, David, you and I, matches done, tournaments done, whatever, I can get on the table. Hey, this is how I train here. This is what I do. And I'll show people what I do. That might work for me, but it might not work for you. So I got all kind of stuff on my YouTube channel. Aaron usually has, go get a hold of Macho Man Arm Wrestling. He makes sure you subscribe to them. So, Tiffany, like and subscribe my channel, Macho Man's channel. Lori Anderson, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Macho Man's channel. And if you want, but I got to run it by you first, David, because this is your event. I don't want to step on no one's toes. If you want, I can do the same thing with your event that I did with my event. And if you want, I can go ahead and YouTube live the super matches if you want me to.
Of course. I have absolutely zero ego to a sense with the event. I almost don't like it being said like it's my event because it's really necessarily the venues.
Well, you're spearheading this whole thing, though. So,
and the only thing that I look to gain from this is an experience, and there's a bunch of productions and tournaments on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
One guy I think who's real cool that I've talked to quite a few times actually is Paul Italia. He hosts cool events all across the country. Well, I am not trying to be like Paul Italia, but I definitely would love to see tournaments that people train for and go to intensely like they do those events.
Yeah.
Across the country. If we can have one that's local, that's like our niche that we do. And as of course friends and comrades in the sport, then great. That's the only thing that I strive for. Like, I just would love to see stuff that's local.
Yeah.
That people don't have to plan and save their life savings to try to fly to an event or drive and then fly back as the car breaks down. If there's something that's kind of a middle ground between us, and it can move every year,
Mm-hmm.
We have one here in Athol, and then the next year there's still one in Athol, but then the main event between the states in the Pacific Northwest is in Bend next time, so it's closer to you. That sounds great to me.
Yeah. What you want to do is you want to put on and start small. Like and I've done WAL qualifiers here, a few years back. So what you want to do is have an event to where it's so good that when it's all said and done, people are saying, dude, that was an awesome event. Are you going to have one again next year? That's what you want.
Exactly.
Because then when you have that, I'm thinking, yeah, let's have another one. Like right now, we're already set for June 10th next year, 2023. By the way, June 10th next year, we're already set, for the third LOD Foundation tournament. And, I'm excited to have that. I think it'll get bigger and bigger. And each year it goes by, you have these tournaments, you find out what does and what does not work.
Dude, I'll definitely come out to that one next year for you coming to this one. And part of the reason why I wanted to call out, not necessarily call out, it sounds weird saying call out like it's an aggressive thing.
Right.
That I asked you to arm wrestle me here.
Mm-hmm.
And what the venue wants to do to get you here is to have like a setup that we can go to every time. That way we can make cool matches here between different states and quote unquote local people. Now, let's say next year there wants to be super matches between other people. We already have a plan on how to do that, how to get them here,
right,
and how it all works. This is the rough draft. This is the idea to get started. And now next year, someone else from Standpoint or from wherever starts training, like Travis and Todd Miller. And then they say, hey, I want to do super match against this guy from Oregon. Well, then the venue goes, okay, this is how we got Jody here. We're going to do that same thing. And then, bam, we can keep this up. But we have to have a plan to start. This whole thing is turning into more than what I ever thought it could. And that's great.
Right. And like I said, and I'm glad that you want me to be a part of that. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure, like I said, I'm going to push this thing as much as possible. Like I said, I'm going to put the flyer up again. And then after that, in 2 weeks, we're going to have your brother on here. We're going to have the Macho Man on here. And those guys are going to talk it out and, and find out, hey, I've been doing this for so long. I've been wanting to pull you because, yada, yada, yada. And then 2 weeks later, we'll have Jason, we'll have Nick Maurer on there, get these guys on there. I've been wanting to pull you because yada, 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 yada. So I think with everybody in the chat that's been watching, Tiffany seems to be on board with all that kind of stuff. Lori Anderson is so excited. And I'm telling you right now, this, like I said, it's only June 24th. So it's like we still got nothing but time. Nothing but time. So
I'm excited. What I think I'm more excited about than necessarily arm wrestling you is finding out how good I can get in 2 months.
Right.
Like that's what I'm more excited about. I'm excited about it doesn't matter Jim PRs, even though I did say on record that this is on here, that I will trap our 900 pounds before we arm wrestle.
Yes. Yes. Just do not get hurt, please. Do not get hurt, please.
I'm just excited to see how strong I can get when I'm committed to something like I'm committed to this, because I don't think I've been committed to something besides my fiance,
right?
Than this, because I train in the morning, train at night, which I'm going to do right after this phone call with Jason. Then I'm going to go home and hit the rice bag and train my hand. Then I'm going to watch other videos. Then tomorrow I'm going to watch Devin versus Levon and probably drink too much and arm wrestle. So.
There you go, sir. There you go. Well, David, I really want to thank you for taking time out of your Friday night. Is there anything else you want to say or add before we go ahead and put a bow tie on this podcast show?
To anyone who says anything about me cloud chasing and or that I'm not good enough, I will super match you afterwards. Win or loss, just call me out. That's fine. And definitely come to the tournament, because this is going to be the biggest turnout that we could ever hope for. And we have to have at least 50 or 60 people in the tournament for the amount of spectators that are going to be there. And then all of them, just like last time we did a tournament, because it's the second tournament we've done at the Pastime Club.
Right.
Just like last time, everyone wanted the after bowl and talk to arm wrestlers about how they train and where they can sign up and where that they can go train with the group. So if you want your team to grow, come out to the tournament.
I agree. 100%. I agree. Well, my friend, I'm going to go ahead and let you do all that. I'm going to go ahead and get a bite to eat. go sit down with my wife and sit there and chit chat and stuff. And but of course, you and I will be a bunch more times between now and then. But I do want to thank you for being on the show, and my friend, thanks a lot, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Jody.
Take care.
Peace.
All right. That was David Till, awesome guy, and I think this tournament coming up August 20th, Athol, Idaho, I think it's going to be some good things to do. So I want everybody to know, help us get this thing on the map, help us with the social media push, help us do all that kind of stuff. Because I think once we get this thing rolling, you know, more and more people from the Northwest are going to go. Because as soon as Athol has one, here comes Oregon and Washington. Oregon has a tournament. Here comes Idaho and Washington. Washington State's in December. Here comes Oregon and Idaho. So the 3 states are all going to kind of ding, 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 this triangle effect, you know, and I think it's going to be cool. So again, everybody, Friday night, I know a lot of you guys have some other stuff better to do, but I want to thank you guys for joining me on the show. And remember, in 2 weeks, this will be part 2 of 3 of the series of The Challenge. And I will have Aaron Macho Man Eurosy on here, and I will have his opponent, Brennan Till. So until then, everybody, thanks for joining us. And as always, see ya when I see ya. You guys enjoy your weekend. Go Devin Larrett.